Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. The bigger picture, only on Money FM 89.3.
Good morning. Welcome to the bigger picture. And we've got lots to talk about this week. It's going to be a blockbuster one for earnings, and we've got the FOMC in action. Let's unpack it with the help of Daphne Tan. She is the Director of Business Development for CMC Markets Singapore. Good morning, Daphne. How are you doing this Monday morning?
Good morning, Ryan. I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me back. How are you?
Great. Of course, looking forward to the festivities in the coming days, but we've got lots to get through. Let's start with the big one. Earnings. We are going to be getting into a higher gear when it comes to some of the reports to expect. Walk us through what are the names that we need to keep an eye on.
That's right. So actually this week we're going to kick off the Magnificent Seven reporting, starting with Apple, Meta and Microsoft. All three of them are due to report this week. And what to look out for on that, as usual, investors may be looking for perceived justification between increased AI spending and revenue, because as we know from last season, the stock performance can still not be very good, even after they beat revenues in the earnings report, because it could be due to that investors do not see the justification between increased capex spending and returns currently.
Okay, we've got a lot of focus on the potential for AI to play a bigger part, and I think this is where we've got the Stargate project that was just announced, really just hyping things up. So how much should we be expecting on that front?
That's right. So even though eyes are on earnings of the companies leading the forefront of AI, the bigger focus seems to be on Trump's impact on the trend. So we know that he does have tariffs or export controls, antitrust regulations coming up, but pertaining to Stargate, we can see that so Stargate intends to build out U.S. data centers to power AI, and we can see that just from the announcement, the companies that are involved in the funding, as well as those that are named as key initial tech partners, such as NVIDIA, Microsoft, and ARM Holdings, which is a British chip designer, those stocks jumped by about 4 to 26% just by the announcement. So what we can also look out for is how Trump is going to impact the AI trend.
Yeah, talking about what is playing out with Trump's policies, he's also trying to get semicon manufacturing back to the U.S. How is that going to impact companies?
That's right. So with semicon manufacturing back to the U.S., there is a CHIPS Act which was passed under Biden administration, which includes funding to help bring semicon manufacturing back to the U.S. But Trump seems to be against that law because he's of the same stance that tariffs would have the same effect in bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. When the companies decide that, it's cutting into their profit margin, it costs too much, in which case they would automatically start looking to manufacture in the U.S. instead.
Okay, and of course, in focus is also TikTok, and this is where we've been trying to, I suppose, navigate the latest news developments where the US has been trying to put pressure on ByteDance to divest or sell the stock or the company.
So it seems to be a little bit of a back and forth with TikTok, with also the future of creators up in the air. Well, but the bottom line on companies such as Meta and Google, if the app is taken online, is that it may impact advertising revenue for these companies. So what happens with the app is we need to wait and see for that, but this is the potential impact.
Okay, and of course, talking about impact, what is going to be on the table when it comes to rate cuts? We've been looking forward to the Federal Reserve with their first policy meeting this year. Last year, we had 4 meetings where or at least 4 rate cuts. I'm looking at 3 rate cuts, 100 basis points, the jumbo one, of course, in September. So what are we looking out for this time?
For this year, what we can look out for is that there are 2 expected cuts, and also we need to take into consideration that the Federal Reserve's forward guidance on holding rates steady and needing to assess how the economy reacts to last year's cuts. I think that's what's going to be true for this meeting. So there's almost 100% probability that rates will remain unchanged. So the current target range is about it's 4.25% to 5%.
Yep, if we get inflation still being elevated to some degree, we could still see rates staying higher for longer. So on that front, what are you expecting when it comes to numbers coming out from the US this week?
So actually, right after the FOMC, the next day we have the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, which will be on 31st of January. For that, headline PCE is expected to rise 2.6% year on year, up from 2.4%. And the core PCE forecast is expected to remain stable at 2.8%. What we can see generally is that the trend may still be interpreted as lowering and stable. So I don't think that the Federal Reserve will change their guidance at this point in time.
Okay, and also in the mix is what's playing out for China. We've got some data coming through. What are we looking at here?
So for China, after a lot of turmoil last year, there may be some light at the end of the tunnel. So we could see that the yuan and the CSI 300 index both perked up slightly last week after Trump's comments that he prefer not to impose tariffs on China. Also on that front, the China's latest initiatives may inject at least about 1 trillion yuan into the stock market, which may then help to boost its ailing stock market as well.
Okay, and talking about central banks, we had the Bank of Japan in action last Friday. Were there any surprises for you when they hiked the rates?
No, there weren't any surprises because it has been widely published that they did intend to hike rates by a quarter point. This would be the largest increase since February 2007. I think what we should be looking at is as they get closer to the BOJ's neutral rate, because there is no clear cut on what the neutral rate is. They need to see what the effects are and what the economy is willing to accept, very similar to what the US is going through at the moment, although in a different direction.
Okay, great wrap-up of what to keep an eye out for in the markets. We've been in conversation with Daphne Tan. She is the Director of Business Development for CMC Markets Singapore. Daphne, thanks for your time and have a great week in advance.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. Have a great week ahead.
All right, catch you around. Stay with Money FM 89.3.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.